Would you rather, Ryan? We'll start with a quick one.
Yes, sir.
For Thursday Night Football. Talked about this with Chris Carter earlier in the hour.
Big game.
Big game.
Would you rather, gentlemen, both teams go over quarterback passing yards or team total scores? So your example, of course, Trubisky and Zappe to go over their passing yardage prop, or the Pats team total over and the Steelers team total over. Would you rather, Horvey?
Gosh, man, I would rather take the
I want the
passing
exact
yards.
Or
numbers.
some sour cream in a bowl.
I'll go. No. Yeah, maybe the sour cream. I'll go with the passing yards because I don't know if either team's even going to be able to run the ball in this match.
So,
well, the Steelers should be able to.
At least remember, Zappe went down to 156.5.
Yeah.
So, and Trubisky's at 180.5. So those have those have both dropped. So that's an opportunity. If you're going to take the over on those, at least those numbers have gone lower. At some point, Bailey Zappe, I don't know. He may not even go over 156. But, God, I hate this.
Yeah, man. I mean,
oh, I hate it so
This is
much.
what makes it fun, gentlemen.
The question's going to be like, can the Patriots... Oh, gosh, this is going to be bad. Can they protect Bailey Zappe? Because if they can't, he's going to be in big trouble. If they can, the Steelers' pass defense isn't great, man. Bottom 10 in the league. But if they're able to get pressure, force some mistakes, it could get ugly. So maybe I would actually rather go team total over with Trubisky against Zappe because we could see some turnovers. We could see some pick sixes, some scoop and scores. Guys get sloppy with the football. So you know what? I'll actually take the points. Who knows, man? Maybe this is a shootout. Maybe it's 48-40. No.
Wouldn't that be something?
Well, listen, every Thursday night game we talk about, right? It's you don't get the best of teams. It's always like they're downgraded a little bit. What if this is the opposite? It's like usually the game is drunk, so this is going to be drunk in the other way, and they're going to be better at beer pong because they're drunk. That's the only. Then all of a sudden everybody's scoring. You're like, wait, what? Yeah, I'd probably go over team total points, but man. I mean, the Patriots were sitting at 3.5 on Sunday when they were still obviously scoreless. And I wish I bet it, and I did. Not that it was like some great price. It was just a minus 110. But, like, I'm looking at that going, yeah, they might not score a single point in this game.
Would you rather unders, boys, this time around? Pickens receiving yards or Elliott rushing yards? And we heard from Dan Karpik. If you missed it, check out the podcast. But in hour number one, he said, like at this point, are you trusting Zeke to do anything except for, and I don't know what the attempts are, he can give 15 to 20 and still only get you 40 yards. So would you rather, on a Wednesday, Pickens receiving under or Elliott's receiving under?
So right now, if we're looking at where Zeke was at 50, I want to say 54.5, right, yesterday. I didn't peek at it today, so I'm going to bring it up now. So his rushing yards have gone all the way up to 61.5.
Because Ramondre is officially out.
Yes.
Because he's going to be the lead back.
I just don't trust Zeke to get 60 yards rushing, essentially,
A couple years ago, Rye, he could have given you 30 carries for 60 yards.
Yeah, he was a beast.
Yeah,
He was a big Zeke guy.
He had 17 for 52 against the Chargers, just 9 for 46, 5.1 yards a carry against the Giants, 13 for 54 against Indy. Right, that's what I mean.
Right.
Like, you look at these teams. I understand why the number is where it is if he's going to be the lead back now with Ramondre Stevenson out.
Yeah.
But, man, I can't take the over on Zeke and 61.5 rushing yards at this point.
No.
I didn't even like it when it was down at 54.
He doesn't have much burst. Zeke does not left in the tank. So I would go under on Zeke's yards, and I would stay away from the under on Pickens' yards because I would go over. George Pickens right now, his receiving yards over 38.5, minus 120. He does have the rapport, the relationship with Trubisky. That might be a play for me. I'm also going to look at the receptions. So the receptions over 3.5 is plus 125. I'm going to go George Pickens over 3.5 receptions. I just talked myself into that. Trubisky is going to get rid of the ball quickly. I would like to see some underneath stuff from Pickens, some quick throws. Get him involved, man. You talked about Terry McLaurin a couple minutes ago. There's no reason that Bieniemy and the Commanders shouldn't be getting him some looks early on in these games.
It's
some
so
bubble
frustrating.
screens, some short little slants. Maybe he doesn't want to catch passes across the middle. I get that. But I don't know. I would go over on Pickens, under on the corpse of Zeke.
Yeah, I think that's probably the safer bet there. God, I mean, think of the scraps we're playing with here right now.
Zeke's going to go off for 220
right,
tomorrow.
and listen, here's
Four
the one.
touchdowns
Here's one thing that's a lock, and we've seen it a lot on Monday night. We definitely see it on Thursday. Something that doesn't make sense will happen. I mean, we just saw Jake Browning go off Monday night. What do we have? Is it does Trubisky throw for 300 yards in this game? I mean, I guess there's a possibility there. But there's just always something that doesn't make sense, especially in the Thursday night games. I just wish I could figure out what the hell it was, and I can't. And I just don't know how to even figure it out with these two terrible offenses.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are a bad watch, man. Like, I'm trying to think of what's a bright spot for the New England Patriots this season on either side of the ball, would you say?
Well, Ramondre Stevenson was.
Okay.
I would have put him there. Good God.
Right?
No.
Demario Douglas, but he's out too tomorrow night.
I was going to say, he's out.
He was another one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean,
there's not much else. Mac Jones early in the season. How about that?
Like, I'm looking right now, Pro Football Focus, I have it up, so I was just looking at, like, offensive line rankings as we enter Week 14. They dropped one spot. They're the 23rd ranked offensive line. Yeah, man. It's Trent Brown's the only guy grading out really well. Cole Strange, remember they drafted him?
Oh, yeah.
He has been pretty damn bad.
Yeah. It's like the Patriots have fallen off of a cliff, and it's happened fast.
So that's the thing. Like, why would I go over on Zeke's yards? He's washed. He doesn't have much burst.
Right.
And he's probably not going to be able to do a whole lot after initial contact. And if they're not getting pushed up front, yeah, it would be under on Zeke for me.
Yeah, it's got to be, especially at 61.5. Maybe that thing will get bet up, and we'll get lucky and get like a 64.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fine going down if Zeke wants to go off tomorrow night.
What's the feel right now leading into this game with whether it's anybody covering the team, the fan base, just with the Steelers right now? What's the feel for tomorrow night?
The feel is they better win this game because everyone felt great after they beat the Bengals. The offense got 400 yards for the first time in 3 decades, and everyone was happy. And then they lose to a 2-10 Cardinals team at home, embarrassingly. And even though Mitch Trubisky started, even though they're dealing with injuries at several other positions, there are no excuses for the Steelers to lose this game, short week, Thursday night football against the Patriots team that hasn't beaten a team that scored 10 points or less in the past 3 weeks. This has to be a game they find a way to win. And I also think that there's been kind of a wake-up call to a lot of people because, some Steelers, there were certain Steelers, Deontay Johnson and Dan Moore and Jalen Warren, they said, hey, maybe we took these guys a little lightly. And there were other Steelers that were like, well, we didn't in practice all week, and we had to be ready. So the people who are saying that, it says something about them as individuals. I think the Steelers are kind of ramped up about this game. They're 4-0 and they're coming off all their previous losses this year. I think that the focus right now is you've got to deliver because they said, like, hey, the Cardinals didn't surprise us when anything. Every look that they gave them last week, they were prepared for it. If you look at the tape, it says that. They got open receivers. They got the right running situation. They got the defense was in position more often than not. They just failed in a lot of situations. They cannot afford to have that happen tomorrow night.
Chris, I love Najee, but I kind of want to free Jalen Warren. I want Jalen Warren getting like 15 to 20 touches per game. I don't even have him on my fantasy team. I'm just a fan. But, I was scrolling through social media, and I'm not the biggest headline guy, but I saw this headline today. Jalen Warren's comment after Steelers loss should put Mike Tomlin on the hot seat. You just kind of commented on that right there. I think that's crazy. I think Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the National Football League, especially when you look at this roster. What's your opinion on a quote like that, a comment like that, and just the job that Tomlin's doing with this team this season?
Well, I think Jalen Warren's comment came immediately after the game. I think a lot of Steelers players were just frustrated because they're like, dang it, we knew what we had to do and we didn't do it. So they're just looking to say something. But when you talk to leaders on the team like Cam Hayward, Pat Fryermuth, T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith. We talked to Najee Harris. We talked to a lot of those guys. They're like, we didn't take these guys lightly. We practiced all week preparing for exactly what they wanted to do. We just stunk today, and we got to be better than that. And I think that's where a lot of this is from. But I agree with you. There are a lot of people in Pittsburgh that have been ringing the Mike Tomlin bell for 10 years now because they don't like him for whatever reason. But I think that there's some people that are starting to lean into that because they're like, look, you haven't won a playoff game since the 2016 season when you beat Andy Reid in Kansas City when he was coming off a bye. You've been having a lot of 9-win seasons the last couple of years. We'd like to see something different. And I think that people hear that, but I think that people also have to recognize that this team, as it's been constructed the last 3 or 4 years, would not have gotten 9+ wins in any of those seasons without Mike Tomlin coaching it. I think the Steelers know that. I think the Steelers players, the Maroons know that, and I think anyone who knows football knows that. So I don't think that Mike Tomlin's actually on a hot seat. The only way he would get on a hot seat is if they absolutely collapse down the stretch here, because then there would be a question, does he have the locker room? And that's the thing that Mike Tomlin has had every single year. The reason he's never had a losing season is because even when stuff has hit the fan, they lost Ben Roethlisberger, they went down to their fourth-string undrafted rookie FCS quarterback Duck Hodges, who is a professional duck caller now, and they still found a way to avoid a losing season. Then I think that's the thing that would have to happen if Mike Tomlin were to ever be on a hot seat. I also think the Steelers team, the way it's constructed, even with Mr. Trubisky at quarterback, if they bounce back, if they handle their business, they can beat the teams that are in front of them. I don't think any of these teams are necessarily outmatched the Steelers in too many ways. It's coming down the stretch here.